Getting a woman to fall in love with you, it's not an easy task. And less men every single year are able to do that. But keeping her in love with you, that's even harder. And then getting a woman to fall back in love with you after she's stopped, that's playing the game on expert mode. And it's unfortunate because if men were able to understand these skills in this video, then the over 700,000 divorces every single year in the United States alone wouldn't happen as much. And so because school and your parents and society doesn't teach men these skills to keep her in love with you, that's what I'm gonna show you in today's video. So if she said, I love you, but I'm no longer in love with you anymore, here are the ways to get her back. If you could just imagine having her look at you in the eyes and say, thank you for believing in us when I couldn't. That's what I wanna give you in this video. To have her squeeze you so tight that she never wants to let go. However, if you neglect these important skills in this video, you'll just repeat the same patterns over and over, being perpetually stuck in the humdrum of heartbreak, loneliness, shame, and regret. And I don't want that to be you. Now, before I show you the 5 skills you must possess to get her to fall back in love with you, I have to break down how and why women fall out of love in the first place. Look, like you, I am romantic at heart. But for a woman, love is actually more practical. You may be asking yourself, how can this be? Aren't they the ones that are obsessed with rom-coms and romantic novels? Yeah, but let's look at her actions above everything else. You see, love is a biological response of you meeting her core needs consistently over time. It doesn't reduce the magic of love. Just because you know how a roller coaster works doesn't mean you can't have fun on the right one, right? This is a harsh truth, but women do love opportunistically. What does this mean? They choose and stay with men who are able to be the best possible mates they can procure. The unfortunate thing is that your parents in Disney movies and those rom-coms, they don't tell you this truth. Everyone hoped to magically meet that person and have the sparks fly and have it just randomly just work out. You guys fall down in love with each other and peace is just happening. And so when that love actually flourished in the beginning, you knew that she was the one, but you thought in sickness and in health meant no matter what. It doesn't, because that's where you were lied to. She fell out of love with you because you lost these skills along the way. On my recent group call with men in the program, I did something called the Imago Exercise. It takes the top negative and positive traits of your parents, specifically your mom, and then puts them into relationship with your partner or your wife. So for example, if your mother was warm, attentive, and caring, but also anxious, insecure, and jealous, then the exercise would show you that you will end up finding a woman who is the negative traits, and you'll try to get her to become the positive. This seems so illogical and honestly just dumb. So why do we do this? Well, the best piece of advice my mentor ever gave me came into a dark moment. My girlfriend at the time just broke up with me. I told her I didn't understand why I kept on choosing the woman with all these issues and baggage. Why did I pick them? She looked at me with so much love in her eyes and said, Josh, you go about recreating past wounds in hopes that next time they will be healed. Go back and play that again and let it sink in because it was profound. As a child, you know you didn't have the best upbringing, right? Your father wasn't around, maybe he was a bit emotionally cold. And for most men, this creates a codependent relationship with their mother. That enmeshed nature seems normal to you, that you'll have that extreme closeness with her. So when your current wife pulls away, you will get anxious and respond the same way you did as a child. What you have to do for this first principle is you must uncover these patterns before you go about changing them. The Imago Exercise is broken down below in the checklist if you want to check that out. Let's do a little thought experiment. I want you to close your eyes with me right now. Imagine going up to your wife and starting a conversation. Let's say you asked her about her day. Now I want you to flirt with her in your imagination, okay? Start to flirt with her. How does she respond? Okay, does she flirt back with you? Does she act confused? Is she apathetic or even angry at you for trying? Now what you imagine tells me volumes about where your focus is and your own self-worth. That last principle I taught you was the overall substructure and schema or the atmosphere of your relationship dynamic. This exercise shows me in the day-to-day and even moment-by-moment interaction cycle that you have with your wife. If you imagine her doing anything other than flirting back with you, then you are losing focus. Rule number 1. Your brain only gets 2 things in life, what it wants and what it fears. Rule number 2, your brain will focus on fear if left on autopilot. Therefore, following those 2 dogmatic truths, you get only what you don't want, aka fear, because that's what you focus on. So I'll show you a core level solution to this problem in the next point, but for now, you must train that software in your brain to shift focus to what you want moment by moment. As an example, I have a client who is going to ask his wife if she wants to go to a workshop, okay, to kind of work as parents, not as a couple, but as parents. I told him before saying that to imagine her saying yes before he even asked her, okay? That imagination will create the type of man he needs to be in that moment to get the yes. But because he's filled with fear, if he's left on autopilot and just asked her, he's expecting a no, he's guarded, she'll respond to that emotion. If you knew this next one, all the other points in this video would kind of just autocorrect for you, okay? I remember sitting in graduate school towards the end of my final semester, and it was in the marriage counseling class. And I just was taking all the information from the hours and hours of lectures and thousands of studies, and I was like, light bulb went off, immediate light bulb. And I had to share this with the class. I raised my hand in front of everyone, mostly women. I said, wouldn't most relationship problems be solved if a guy just cared a little bit less? My teacher looked at me and with kind of pity was like, no, Josh, it's not that simple. But the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. Look, at the end of the day, she wants to be with a man that she can rely on and feel safe with. And if you're putting your happiness outside of yourself, your own self-worth, dependent on her approval of you or how she feels, AKA when she's feeling any other emotion than happiness, you feel less than. What that does to her is she cannot rely on you to be that solid base she needs. She will experience a range of emotions all the time. And she needs you as her masculine core to be okay with that. And the fastest way for you to be okay and not be reactive to her is to not put your happiness dependent on her, your validation, to be okay when she's upset with you. It is hard, but it's also simple. For this next principle, let's build on the previous point, okay? All neediness is, it can be measured by anxiety, okay? You can just measure your anxiety. And you have to know that your thoughts, your actions, and emotions all influence each other, okay? Now, anxiety is the emotion, but what are the thoughts and what are the actions you take? That's the first step, is to identify what behavioral patterns you are doing when you feel anxious and what narrative or thoughts that you're having. If I had to put anxiety into a formulaic equation, it would look like this. Anxiety equals lack of control, AKA action, plus desire of outcome, AKA your thoughts. So if we look at that formula, all you have to do is reduce the desire for that outcome and increase the things you can do in your control. And what I found with a lot of guys that are going through the situation with their wife falling out of love with them, trying to get her back, is that they are subconsciously, which means they're not aware of it, they're trying to control their wife's emotions. They're trying to change their emotions. So you have to honestly ask yourself, A, what do I have in my control? What is in my behavior? What is in my influence that I can change here? Which at the end of the day, it's just you and your thoughts, right? And your actions day by day, not hers, okay? Can you mitigate that desire for her, that validation, and increase instead the desire for you to become the best version of yourself? When you make those two internal shifts in your thoughts and your emotions, the anxiety just evaporates, okay? And when that anxiety evaporates, you start taking actions toward that higher self. You start thinking a narrative about just becoming the apex version of you. The ironic and paradoxical thing is that that's when she comes back every single time. This final point is the metaphor of the yacht captain, which I got from Psychack, so you guys should check him out. He's really cool. A lot of insightful information, but he talks about this, and I kind of shifted it to make it my own. When you first met your wife, you were the captain of this immaculate, beautiful yacht, okay? Now that ship that you have resembled all the resources that you had to bring her in, okay? Your ability to plot the course, to have the map, was your sense of purpose, where you were going. You knew where you were headed, and a woman wants to go on an adventure, okay? But over time, what happened is that you arrived at an island, you're like, oh, this is good. She's on the ship already. I don't need to take care of things anymore. We arrived at the destination. Why find another one? This island, it's a paradise over here. I'm solid. But a woman wants to be on a constant journey. She doesn't want to be parked at one spot for too long. And the fact that your yacht is falling apart and you aren't working on yourself and developing who you are, you're not adding modifications to it, you're not remodeling things, she starts to look at those other yachts and look at those other women on those yachts and say, wow, they're having a great time. Why am I not? The last part of this is your crew. You don't have to go alone on plotting your course. You don't have to go alone on rebuilding your ship. All right, this is what we can offer you. Our marriage evaluation team, you set up a call with us. What we'll do is we'll analyze your current situation with your wife, that yacht, right? And say, where did things fall apart? What tools do you need? We will help you develop that yacht back to more beautiful than it ever was before. You can give it a whole new name, and you can plot her on that course towards the destination of eternal bliss and happiness. Okay. Thanks for watching the video. Check out this video right here on saving your marriage by yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.